Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Big Pop Podcast. I am your host, Navthepoet, joined with my amazing co-host,
Sully, aka Kayfabe Crimes.
and we're here all to discuss wrestling and maybe make you critically analyze this silly entertainment a bit better. So, before we get into the discussion for this episode, we are less than a week away by the time this episode will be released from WrestleMania. So, Sully, how are you feeling about everything?
I feel like they were like, this build has been really bad. Let's do everything 2 weeks before Mania. And I think finally I'm kind of like, oh, okay, I'm kind of excited for Mania now. How about you?
Yeah, and I think this is a pattern that I've seen with WWE where not just Mania, I have seen it, I've definitely seen it for Manias before, but in general with PLEs, they'll do nothing for especially when they have time. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If they have 4 or 3 weeks, then they obviously just, throw everything at it. But when they have time, I get the intention of a slow build, but the escalation feels really dramatic as opposed to a natural progression of story.
Do you know what would have been really perfect if they had one of those Saturday super whatever shows, like the network things they do, like between Elimination Chamber and Mania? Because normally they would have another pay-per-view, I think. They used to have, because when they had like 46 pay-per-views a year, um, they used to have one between. Like it was like Roadblock or Over the Limit or whatever stupid name Vince chose.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the era we're talking about because if it was
Yeah.
uh during the brand split, I think each show got, a show in
Yeah.
between. I'm
Yeah.
actually against the idea of even having a show between, like a PLE between
Mhm.
Rumble and Mania. Uh,
Yeah, I think it's just because they don't know how to like tell weekly television stories. So just to give them something to build to. But I agree there really shouldn't be any pay-per-views between then, but I just feel like they don't know how to just book weekly television for more than a month.
yeah, yeah. But as for my excitement, I was talking about with some friends today, and we all kind of agreed there isn't much to be excited about in terms of the build.
No.
The matches
Yeah.
are likely to be really good, good to amazing, right? The
Hmm.
WWE has gotten pretty uh good with that. Any
Yeah.
PLE, you're gonna have good matches, some maybe one or two great matches as well. And with the cards the way they are, I would be surprised if there weren't several great matches. But the
Yeah.
story going into a lot of these feels underwhelming as we've been discussing.
Yeah, I think maybe I think again that's our difference. Like I will maybe overlook the story a little bit because I know I'm gonna get bangers for 2 days, but also I kind of get it. Like I really this is the first Mania where I've not been like, yeah, let's get the chips, the dips, the drinks in, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get some good wrestling.
Hmm. I'm kind of the other mindset of
Yeah,
the thing I'm looking forward to is having people around and us just
yeah,
joking and enjoying the show together. But the actual build, the stories, I don't have much intrigue for at the moment. And I don't know if Raw necessarily changed that too much for me personally.
mhm.
I think you were saying slightly different feelings.
Yeah, I think at the very least, like the Jay Gunther match, it came like a month way too late, but at least they're like booking this like it matters, and I like that. And the triple threat match, which totally shouldn't main event. Uh, I digress. But I feel like they're maybe planting the seeds for what I think would be an awesome swerve. But I don't know if I should spoil that now, but I think it's going to be.
You
But
can
I
share your
think,
thoughts because I was gonna say that was the one thing from Raw that I thought was interesting. I'm mixed feelings on it
yeah.
if we're on the same page, which I think we are.
Okay, I think it's going to be. Heyman turns on both Punk and Roman, which I think is exciting when you look at it from like a WWE lens, because I think an overall storytelling, maybe it's a stupid idea,
Yeah,
but from like a WWE perspective, that's what they would call like I don't know, like oh the biggest swerve of the like when they do the Slammies 2026, it'll be like swerve of the year or shocking moment of the year,
right.
most Instagram likes.
So I thought about this because that's exactly the same thing I thought, and I like, even if it's not intended continuity or just chance
Mhm.
continuity or poetry, whatever you want to call
Mhm.
it, I like the idea of 10 years after Seth Rollins screwed over Roman Reigns at WrestleMania
Yeah,
31. He now screws over Roman Reigns and CM Punk in another heist of the century if he
yeah,
steals Heyman away from
yeah,
Punk and
exactly.
Reigns. So in that way, I'm like, okay, like you said, in a WWE lens, in a WWE framework, huge deal. But I still think, why would Heyman do that?
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that doesn't like make sense. The only thing I can think of is like he's tired of being pushed around, but his whole shtick, like his entire WWE career, has been I'm okay getting pushed around because like I'm with the hottest commodity and also Big Show.
Yeah, yeah. And Curtis Axel and
Yeah.
Ryback and Cesaro. Rip
Oh,
Cesaro career. Um,
he's 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 in the exact same position on AEW.
yeah. But exactly, just from a Heyman point, why would you give up either Punk or Roman for
Yeah,
Seth, who is big, but he's not at the level of Roman or Punk? So,
yeah,
like, and Seth doesn't need it. Like, it would be understandable if Seth was a up
yeah.
and comer or something, or only like a few years in, but he's now over a decade into the
Yeah,
WWE.
yeah, man.
So it's just a swerve for the sake of a swerve, in my view.
Yeah, I just think they need something to justify this. I, I don't know, because like the reason it's going on last is because it's Roman Reigns, and I
Yeah.
think everyone knows that, whether it be in kayfabe or not. But I just feel like simply having this triple threat match with no stakes, I just think they're like, because we're going to do this swerve, it's going to go on last, or because it's going on last, we need the swerve. Because if you're going to do a non-title match, it's normally Undertaker or Stone Cold. Basically, it's a legend has to turn up, and if you're not going to have a title match, it's you need something. At least, obviously, from the way WWE probably looks at it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think it goes as the main event because it's Roman and because of Punk and that whole thing
Hmm.
of him wanting to main event. And this is kind of their cop out, so they don't have to give him a title shot
Yeah,
main event, you know?
yeah. I think we're in agreement that it should have been a title match. Whether he win or lose, it should have been a title match in the main event. If you when you give him one.
Right. But I don't feel like the triple threat needs stakes other than the story that
Mhm.
is there. But I get your point of, as a main event, it needs stakes, right?
Yeah,
Because, like, okay, thinking about it, someone closes the show, whoever it is, could be Punk,
yeah.
Roman Rollins, whoever it is, and it's just like,
No,
but i
exactly.
i get the vision of, oh, Seth standing at the top of the ramp with Heyman, then it's like this all means something and there's value, and you then
Mm,
prolong that story with Seth and Punk, that story with Seth and
yeah,
Roman, so it gives more fuel to that, so it does serve its purpose, or serve a purpose.
yeah,
But I just still think, based on the story they've told with these characters, it makes no sense for Heyman to turn on either of them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
100%. It like it in if you were writing a TV show, this wouldn't make sense, but it's WWE and they don't care about the intellectual thought process of their fan base.
yeah, and it's one of those things of, and I know I talked about this with Cena stuff, but I feel like moment really telegraphed it. This moment on Raw really telegraphed it.
Mm.
And it's a hard balance to find where you plant proper seeds, but you also don't totally telegraph a swerve because then it's not a swerve. Like I'm sure I
Yeah.
haven't read the internet yet, but I'm sure this speculation is not just ours, right? I'm sure
Yeah.
tons of people.
I feel like it's a pretty like everyone's like yeah, they're gonna turn all which again I have a feeling Triple H reads the dirt sheets. It's like, oh, I'm actually gonna trick them with the swerve. It's not actually gonna be a swerve. And I'm like, okay, Paul, whatever you say, man. Oh, that's
Yeah,
something Vince would do, I guess.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. But we'll see what happens in however much time. Very short time. For this video, though, we decided to each look at different WrestleManias and talk about less forgotten matches from WrestleMania's history. That could be forgotten because it's overlooked.
yeah.
That could be forgotten because it's not memorable for one reason or another, or whatever reason either of us might
Oh
have
yeah.
felt. So we each have a list of a few, and
Yeah.
we're just going to go back and forth and, discuss them. So you want to actually start?
Yes, and my first choice is a match I completely didn't remember at all, and I don't know why it happened. And the first match I've got is Kane versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 28.
Hmm.
I took some notes as well because I'm very confused. And then I did some internet sleuthing as well.
Oh,
So the match was about 11 minutes long, give or
okay.
take. It was fine. It was definitely a match. Randy's a good wrestler, and this is nearly 15 years ago, so he was even more spry. Kane is fine, I guess. This is, I think, Authority time, Kane. So, I don't know. I think I was checking out of wrestling around then, but I'm pretty sure it was like Authority Kane.
No, this is before.
Before,
This is
okay,
Embrace the Hate, Kane.
oh,
So
okay,
I can tell you why this match happened.
okay,
Well, not the story, but I can tell you why is because he had just feuded with John Kane
yes, yeah.
and he lost. And so what always happened at this time is after someone feuded with John Cena, they moved on to Randy Orton. Randy would always get John's sloppy seconds.
God, that's so stupid. What,
And they
man,
didn't have anything for Randy. So they're like, "Oh, well, we
yeah,
we just brought Kane back, so he's still Kane in their minds. So,
yeah.
the audience will buy it."
That's what I was reading. So basically, I read it and people like, yeah, Kane was kind of getting in a push, didn't have anything for Randy. Apparently, Randy got suspended shortly after this match
I didn't
for a
know that.
drug thing. So people are speculating they knew he was getting suspended before Mania. And so they were like, just put him in a match with Kane, have him lose, kind of a punishment.
He lost?
And yeah, he lost the match.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. So like, and I don't, and then people were like, he got like a title match after this as well. Um, but he also lost. So
Interesting.
yeah, it was just, I don't know.
Yeah, like I
It,
said, I think it was
it,
was it a stip match too?
I believe it's just straight up match,
Okay.
which is even more bizarre because it's like, at least there's no heat. There's no heat. It was so weird. But also, like, this was when you had like, actually, no, it was before the like 9 hour WrestleMania cards.
Yeah.
It's on the cards for about 6 hours. But
Yeah.
it just felt like a waste of Randy. Um, I was never a fan of Kane after he put the mask back on.
Mm.
Like, I really liked, bald Kane.
Mm.
Yeah, he was legitimately scary when I was a kid. I was like,
Right.
oh shit.
Yeah.
Mom, don't phone Kane when I don't eat my vegetables, please.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's such a once you said the match, I remembered it, but it's not one I would recall.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's a speaking of Kane though.
Oh,
A match
okay.
I have is uh WrestleMania 18,
Okay.
Kane versus Kurt Angle.
Oh, wow. Wait, WrestleMania 18. So it's
Yeah,
Kane with his old mask.
yeah. This big bulking Kane. This
Yeah.
is the big red machine, proper Kane.
Was
Um,
this a title match?
no, I honestly did. I didn't do the sleuth thing, so I just watched the match again.
Yeah.
Maybe actually for the first time. I don't think I've ever seen the match before this. I
Hmm.
had known about it, but when I was going through all the cards, I was like, that's such a strange matchup. Um,
Yeah.
and this is 2002, I think. Um, yes, because Triple H returned in 20, yeah, okay, so this is 2002. Kurt Angle's still only like 2 years maybe now into the
Yeah.
WWE. So, um, and he does win. Spoiler, he wins with
Hmm.
a dirty roll up, and
Nice.
which is the weird. It's like for Mania, he got a dirty roll up. Okay.
Vince really liked doing those finishes at Mania.
Mm,
Like Eddie did that at WrestleMania 20, I
yeah.
think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a fine match. I'd say like a
Yeah.
solid 3 out of 5 stars. Like it's probably not a WrestleMania worthy match, but there were some good
Yeah.
spots. Kane kicked out of the angle slam. Uh, Kurt got his foot on the rope after a choke slam. So there were just some moments like that. Kurt Angle did a Kane was up top for his clothesline, then Kurt ran up the ropes and like did a
I
suplex,
did
which
a
was nice.
specs. That's cool.
And he just did like a straight like front belly to belly over his head with Kane. And I was like, damn.
Kurt Angle is like the best example of someone who transitioned from an athlete to a wrestler, maybe apart from Bianca.
Yeah.
In my, did
I mean
they
Lesnar
really?
too.
Yeah, actually, no, that's true. That's not. They really like putting Kane in like Mania matches,
Yeah.
like with. I, I guess like I get it because when he debuted, it was like, oh my God, who's this guy?
Yeah.
Why doesn't he have a cape? Um,
I would say Kane is almost like the Ziggler of Mania.
yeah,
Like if you need a big name to have a match that you don't have anywhere else, you slot in Kane for that. And his story is he's an angry guy who attacks the other person, and that's it, right? You don't
yeah.
need other reasoning.
Okay, as we're talking about Kane, I have another one with Kane,
Okay.
but I'll keep it short. Uh, WrestleMania 27, we're going back 1 year. The core, so
Okay, I had that match too.
oh really? Yeah, yeah. So the core versus Big Show, Kane, Santino, and Kofi.
Yeah. The core being Wade Barrett, Ezekiel Jackson, Justin
Yeah,
Gabriel, and Heath Slater, the I don't even know what the right term is here, but like the leftovers of the Nexus
yeah.
plus Ezekiel Jackson.
Ezekiel Jackson, a well-known final ECW champion. God, that I
Yeah.
this is a tangent, but I was so depressed. I watched that
Yeah,
match
same.
and I was like, I love Christian. Christian's going to retain. Why would he lose on the last ECW? And he
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, I didn't get why they didn't just give it to William Regal if you were gonna take it off Christian for the final night. Give it to William Regal. He was part of Jackson was part of a
Yeah,
faction with Regal and Vladimir Kozlov, and it was like it was. I mean, those two, Jackson and Kozlov, are whatever, but the idea of
yeah,
giving Regal a stable, brilliant, right? And he
yeah,
called it like the Round Table. I was like, that's amazing. This is a great
yeah,
name. Maybe not so high on the people involved, other than Regal,
yeah.
but I was just like, just have Regal win that then. But they gave it to Ezekiel Jackson.
And the reason we're talking about that instead of this Mania match, because this Mania match was an eight-man tag match, which was a minute and a half. They're just,
Yeah.
it's just like everyone just gets a payday, I guess, which is nice for them.
I think it was mainly for Kofi, Show, Kane, and
Yeah,
Santino. It was just like they wanted Kane and Kofi and Big Show and Santino on the card,
yeah.
and they happened to have a four-man group. They're like, all right, let's just
But the core were tag champions at this point as well. So it was like just bare. I mean, Vince doesn't care about no WWE doesn't care about tag wrestling,
Nope.
but like they buried their chance.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I was looking up once you started talking about times. I was like, oh, I should look up the times of these matches, and you gave the exact time, but even the reports were like, oh, it was like 2 to 3 minutes long, and you're like,
Yeah.
no, it's actually shorter than that.
Yeah, it's a minute and a half. It's like entrances were longer than the actual, and it's just like,
Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah,
and it was on such a. There was one good match on this card.
it was a
Really.
bad card though.
Yeah, it was a bad card.
One match doesn't make the card good.
Yeah, true, true.
Yeah,
God.
it's a yeah. Well, speaking of Kofi though, I
Oh,
have
okay.
a
Oh,
match.
nice.
It was WrestleMania 32, The New Day, Kofi, Woods, Big E versus the League of Nations.
Oh God. Oh my God. And Wade Barrett. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
Oh
God. I
yeah, there we
hate.
go. That yeah, good connection. That's how forgettable
Good,
the League of Nations was.
good Lord. I. That was such a funny. I remember that faction more so from the. Was it SmackDown vs. Raw still, or the 2K game
I think
where I'm pretty sure you play as Sheamus who can take over the League of Nations, but I think he also turns someone into a zombie.
I don't remember
I
all
don't know,
that.
man.
I
I
thought
don't
you were
know.
talking about, I think it was an earlier 2K game, but I think they were called the United Kingdom or something like that. Or maybe it was League of Nations, but it was Regal, Sheamus, Cesaro, and McIntyre. A
Uh,
real proper
that's a
UK faction.
that's a good faction.
Yeah, I guess Cesaro's not
Whereas,
technically part of the UK, but
yeah, I
uh,
guess Sheamus isn't either, but you know,
I don't know what
that
the
part
UK
of Europe.
encompasses actually, to
U
be honest.
UK is England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland.
Ah,
And
okay.
I'd never tell an Irish person they're part of the UK because they will hit you.
Okay, good to know. Um, yeah, that's why I just use people's country specific. I don't even bother. I'm just like, but
But
yeah,
how did this match finish?
I don't know the specifics because I didn't even
Uh,
bother to look in it. But the League of Nations won.
oh, was it all three of the New Day?
Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. So the League of Nations won solely for the purpose of this is WrestleMania 32, the biggest uh attendance ever,
hmm.
102,000 people they say, um, just in Dallas, so they could have Mick Foley, Shawn Michaels, and Stone
Uh,
Cold show up to beat up the league.
I remember this because
Yeah,
Stone Cold stunners Xavier Woods as well afterwards.
yeah. So it was nothing super special. But I just found it so I just the League of Nations is such a funny faction because
Yeah.
it's four guys that are all talented in their own right.
Yeah.
It's Barrett, it's Sheamus, Rusev, and Alberto Del Rio, who Del Rio's the weak link of the four, but
Oh, Vince just pushed him.
he
He had a
loved
lot
Del
of
Rio.
pushing that man.
He obsessed over Del Rio. But four talented people who could have been relevant in different forms on different parts of the card, just put together because they're all foreign, and
Yeah.
to be really they were made to be fodder for Roman. Um, because yeah, this was when they were really pushing Roman because this is 2015 into 2016.
Oh, was this when after Sheamus cashed in on Roman, Roman
Correct.
got over for like 2 weeks because he
Correct.
just beat up. Okay, okay. I was kind of watching then.
Yeah. So it's that
Yeah, I
time.
remember.
So this is after the whole Roman thing is done because Roman is fighting Triple H at this
Mm,
Mania. So
yeah,
they're
that
like,
was a bad
well,
match.
yeah, it wasn't forgettable. I mean, it wasn't one that I could put on this list because it was,
Yeah.
but so yeah, so now that the league was done with their job, which was to be fed to Roman, they're like, well, do we still have them? What do we do? Um, I think this was the New Day entrance where they come out from the cereal box. So
Mm.
that was more
I
memorable
mean,
than the match.
yeah. I mean, I guess I would say it's a surprise the New Day lost, but then you had the legends come out and
Yeah.
fight. So I guess that makes sense.
Plus they got the
Well,
special entrance.
yeah, the special entrance. I think they were wearing white gear, I believe. I think I really liked their gear. It was like white and
No,
gold.
they're wearing. I'm looking at right now. They're wearing Ginyu Force gear.
Oh,
Yeah, and they came
maybe
out of
I'm
the
thinking.
cereal box, the big Booty-O's cereal
Yeah,
box.
I remember that. That was
Yeah,
quite fun,
that's what I'm saying.
actually.
That's more memorable than the actual match.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember this match. Oh, I remember the entrance and the post-match shenanigans.
Yeah, yeah. It was. I don't know what they were doing at this time. Honestly, the times that the so far the matches we're talking about, they're all in such a bad time of WWE.
Yeah, it honestly like WrestleMania 30. I think it was like 32 till about 36 or 37 were bad.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, 35 wasn't terrible. It was a decent show. 34 was yeah, and unironically or not ironic, it shouldn't be a coincidence that most of those manias were all headlined by Roman.
Yeah, yeah.
Big Dog
I
Roman.
mean,
I don't dislike Roman, but Big Dog Roman was not
Big
not
Dog
it.
Roman, the I can't remember his lines. Suffering succotash.
Yeah, yeah, it was rough.
I
What's your? Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
I guess as we're talking about WrestleMania 35, well, kind of, I have 35 on my list.
Oh, okay.
I've got Samoa Joe
Oh,
versus Rey Mysterio in I believe it was like 32 seconds. It was like 32 seconds to 50 seconds match.
yes.
Which like I love Booker T. I love him on commentary, to be honest. I know he can
Hmm.
be too much for some people. I love him on commentary. Don't let him tell you the reason the match is so short. Because he literally says Rey Mysterio's hurt. And I can't remember the other guy who was on commentary. It's Todd Phillips, Todd Matthew. I don't know. It's one of them guys.
Maybe it was yeah, Tom Phillips.
Yeah. And he was like, yeah, Ray has just been medically cleared. And I'm like, why are you telling me this? Of course I know why this match is like 30 seconds. Because I think
Hmm.
Ray had like a broken ankle going into this match,
Oh,
or at least
okay.
a torn ligament. And so Ray gets all his shit in, and then he goes for a move. Joe like awkwardly slams him down and then puts him in a sleeper hold to retain the US title. And I love Joe. I'm happy he retained the title, but like, don't mention that he's hurt. Or and I think at this point Dominic Mysterio might have been wrestling. It might be been a year early.
It was
I
yeah.
think
He's
I think
he
he.
his first match was during the pandemic era,
Okay,
so it was
okay,
literally maybe the year before. Yeah, the
yeah. Because I
yeah
think if Dominic was ready, just like feed him to Joe as well. It's like,
yeah
oh my God, Rey Mysterio's son's going to replace his injured dad. But yeah, I guess the times don't line up.
yeah yeah. That's
And
so. I remember
and
that
also,
match.
this was the last Mania where it was one 9 hour show.
Yeah, I was there, so I know
Really?
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. That was WrestleMania 35 at MetLife Stadium.
oh,
That was
nice.
the women's triple threat main event. And then
Oh,
Kofi beating Bryan, Seth beating Lesnar, which I called it. Like I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I was telling my friends because they were unsure. I was like, no, it's gonna be all three are happening because I was like, we were tired of Lesnar, so I was like, Seth's taking the title of
yeah.
Lesnar. Kofi Mania is gonna run wild, and Becky's gonna get the championship. I predicted it, and I have a video of me like after Kofi won. I'm like, that's two. We just need one more. That's two. Like it's funny.
Okay, so actually a pretty decent card. I think that's
Yeah,
why this match got lost because it was kind of like very short and then
yeah.
also
No, there were bigger things
surrounded,
happening.
yeah, surrounded by big matches. Because hey, at least Joe got a Mania match. Because believe he probably had one during the pandemic. Maybe
Sorry,
I know
what?
30. He might have had one the following year at 26,
Who?
36. Joe. I
I d
can't
Pandemic manias are a
remember.
blur to me. I have no
Yeah.
recollection. I'm gonna turn the clock back quite a bit
Oh, okay.
because I wanted to get something that wasn't just recent. So I was like
Hmm.
looking through cards and looking for something that sounded interesting to me. Um,
Okay.
and so I came across this match from WrestleMania 13,
Oh my God.
Rocky Maivia
Uh,
defending the Intercontinental Championship against the Sultan, who is a wrestler I have never heard of before.
what? Oh God. Sultan, he must have been like, they must have found him as a devotee of like the Iron Sheik or
Sheik was in his
something.
corner. Sheik was, but
Yes,
so was
yes.
Bob Backlund.
He would. I think that.
Mind you, I didn't go into these matches looking at past story or anything, so I have no idea why this match came to be. I have no idea like what the components are in terms of like why Backlund is with Sheik and Sultan or anything.
I'm trying. They've done this story twice. I
Yeah,
think they did like when Sergeant Slaughter joined the
right.
Sheik when the Sheik was like an Iraqi general at like WrestleMania. It's one of the early ones. I want to say five.
Yeah. I don't know
It's the
I'm not
what?
saying yeah to that specific wrestling because I don't know,
Yeah,
but I know
yeah,
the story you're talking
yeah.
about.
I have a feeling it's something similar with Backland where they were
Probably.
like you know how we can get some heat. We just have an American hero become an Arab. I'm like, oh my God, Vince, no.
Yeah, it was.
Uh,
I watched the match though, because I just got
mm,
curious once I read the
yeah.
names in the match. I was like,
Mm,
I need to see what this is about. And also, the big thing was it's The Rock, right? Before
yeah.
he's The Rock, so I was like, oh, okay, like how are they pushing him very early on
Yeah.
into his run? I
They're
think it
pushing
might
from the
have been,
start.
yeah, I think it might have been like his first or second Mania. I forget what year WrestleMania 13 is. Um, but well, if 16 is 2000, 15, 14, 30, so 97. So it's actually his first Mania, I think, because he debuted in 96, I believe. Um,
That makes sense because I think like they pushed him right away. I think he
right.
must have picked up the title off maybe Triple H.
That sounds
Hmm.
right. Yeah, so it was 97. So yeah, really early on, his first Mania, which is fine. I think, that's a good way to
Yeah.
set his career forward. But I was just like, who is this, the Sultan? And the match itself is fine. It's really nothing
Yeah.
special. There's some impressive, like the Sultan. He's a big dude. He's like 300 plus pounds, and he does like a flying headbutt off the top, which I was like, okay,
Ah.
impressive. I don't know, and I didn't look, but part of me was like, is this a someone from the family? Because he was wearing a mask, so I couldn't see the face. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, uh, you know, someone who ended up being the guy who plays Jamal or Rosie. Like it could have been someone from the Anawai family, very likely. Um, but the fun part of this match was the end. So Rocky wins, and then he starts getting attacked by the Sultan, and he gets saved by Rocky Johnson. And I
Okay,
thought
that's cool.
that was
That's
really
that's
cool.
nice.
Yeah, and they were talking about his dad, on commentary a lot.
Hmm.
So it made sense too. Like they set up this whole thing. I was just like, okay, that must have been really nice for Rocky to get his first Mania win as the IC champ, and then also get to beat up some guys with his dad. Like that's a cool moment.
Do you want to know who the Sultan was?
100%.
It was Rikishi.
I thought it might be. I like just the body and the way he moved. I was like, it's possible, but he was also playing a character, so he could have been,
Yeah.
he's disguising it in some way. But I was like, there's a really good chance it is someone from the family. Is it
Yeah.
Rikishi? Rikishi was the likely option just because like the time of everything, like 96, so
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, it was 97. So it couldn't be obviously like certain people. I was like, it
Oh,
could be Rikishi.
that's oh God, man. That's hilarious.
That's really
Oh
cool.
my God.
Family feud, like you get to wrestle your family in like your
The
first
original
Mania.
Bloodline story.
Yeah, honestly, it was a relatively maybe like a 9-10 minute match. And yeah, they were definitely like pushing Rocky, but yeah, it was just like
This
I I don't think anybody's going to recall that match when talking about Rock's illustrious career.
Yeah. Was this before the Die Rocky Dice chants? Like, were people still cheering? I guess they would have always cheered him because this is like
Yeah.
Vince's go-to evil foreign heel, I
Yeah,
guess.
people were cheering. There were no negative reactions to him at this time that I heard.
Okay. I quite liked. I know this is not really quite related to WrestleMania, but I really like when he joined the
Hmm.
Nation of Domination.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have any others on your list?
I do. I'm gonna bring us. We mentioned WrestleMania 36, so
Mm.
I might as well bring up one of the matches I have. Although most of the cards are forgettable.
Yeah.
I don't think you'll think of this match because I was like had to double check if it was real. Uh, it is.
Is it the last match? Like the last match?
Was the last? No, that was the last ride, wasn't it?
Oh, no. No, no, no. 36 ended with
Oh, what? Wait, was it? So technically, it was
yes.
Lesnar,
Oh,
Drew,
yes. But no, no, no.
but
The
then it
last
was
match.
Drew, Big Show,
Yeah.
which is very confusing.
That's I'm guessing that's not the one you're talking about,
No,
but
I remember that because I'm like, because I was like, why did you, what?
yeah,
That
why'd you
didn't
do
make any
that?
sense. I I bet they didn't tell Drew. Vince was probably just like, Paul, go out there and I don't know. We'll put on Raw. No, my match is Bobby Lashley versus Aleister Black.
What?
Yeah, it was
What?
it was on night one. It was an
Okay,
8 minute match. It had no heat going
sounds
into
right.
it because they just were like, just give them a match. Like it didn't make any sense. I tried to look into the story beforehand. There really wasn't one at all. They were just like, "You want to fight? Yeah, let's fight." I think Lana gets involved in the finish.
Oh no, it was that portion of.
Yeah, yeah, to cost Lashley the match, and it was
Wait,
uh,
she costed Leslie? What?
yeah.
Oh, so this
Um,
was after all of that then.
I it didn't seem like it was on purpose that she cost him the match. Like,
Oh,
it was typical like manager gets involved and costs
okay.
them the match.
Okay,
And
now I get
and
it.
but it was like it was 8 minutes. Clearly the two of them were like, I guess we have to have this match. I'm sure Vince was standing off to the side, like screaming at them, like production notes during the match. But yeah, it, it just I didn't even remember it happening. Like, and it felt like they didn't have enough wrestlers
Hmm.
at the time. And so they
Oh
were
man.
like, oh, Tommy End's here and Bobby Lashley's here. I guess give them the match.
That was also just Vince's booking at that time, even before the
Yeah.
pandemic, because he had done that. He had brought Alistair and Ricochet up to the main roster and then put him as a team for some. Were they a team in NXT for a bit?
They were a team for the Dusty Classic.
Okay,
But
fine.
even then, the reasoning for that was like, we've both won titles, I guess, but we've never won the Dusty Classic.
At least it's something. But yeah, so they bring him up as a team and then they're on Mania in like a fatal four-way
Yeah.
just because I'm just like, what are you doing? You're just throwing people onto the card.
I think, Vince's cognitive decline at the same time as a pandemic was a bad time.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I do have one more match. And I
Okay.
debated this because I don't, maybe it is memorable, but I feel like until I looked at the card, I didn't remember that it happened, kind of thing. So it's WrestleMania
Hmm.
25, right?
Okay.
It's Chris Jericho versus anything coming to mind. I want to see if you remember it or not.
25. Okay. Jericho.
It's a handicap
Uh,
match.
was it Jericho and Big Show? No, Jericho versus Big Show and The Miz?
No, 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 no. So it's
Okay.
Chris Jericho.
Oh, oh, oh my! It's Chris Jericho versus the Legends, isn't it?
Yeah, Chris Jericho versus
Oh,
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and Rowdy Roddy Piper.
yeah, I remember this match.
Yeah.
I remember this match because um Ricky Steamboat could still go.
Yeah, yeah.
He could,
That's probably the only reason it is memorable, honestly. But I feel like it's still one that like you have to think about. It's not like something that
yeah.
comes to your mind very like probably not even the first 30 matches of Mania you'll think about.
Oh no, no, definitely not.
Yeah.
I mean, also Mickey Rourke decks
Yeah.
Chris Jericho. I
Well,
don't know
what's
if it's during the match or after.
it was after. So what's so funny is that that was supposed to be the match. It was supposed to be
Uh,
Chris Jericho versus Mickey Rourke because Mickey Rourke was in The
the
Wrestler.
wrestler,
And so they
yeah.
were promoting that. And then I forgot what happened. I remember hearing the story that like the agents, whatever, the match didn't happen, but like Rourke, I think they thought it was supposed to be a real fight. And then they found out like it's not, it's a work or something. I don't remember the specifics. But anyway, it then somehow became Jericho trashing on the legends and like
Yeah.
it's Jericho, so of course he makes it great. Like I remember
Yeah.
those segments where he's just trashing on them, but it's just such a it's kind of like a in my head a fever dream of a match. Like you're talking
Yeah.
about these three I don't like calling Snuka a legend at this point, but
Yeah.
these three veterans, these three huge names from the 80s. Huge
Yeah.
names from the 80s. Like whatever about Snuka huge in the 80s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steamboat huge, Piper huge, all like key parts of the
Yeah.
80s wrestling, right? 80s WWE. So and then they're fighting Chris Jericho. And I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
wild.
Was this an elimination match?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it's coming back to me because I think basically that he eliminate I can't remember who eliminates first.
I
But basically
Piper
they were
maybe? I
like,
don't know.
let's just give Jericho and Steamboat a one-on-one match. And they were probably like, well, Steamboat's a bit old to go a whole 15 minutes, so
Yeah.
give him about five at the end.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I don't think Piper or Snuka lasted too long.
No.
They probably pulled off their big spots, signature move or something.
Yeah.
And then yeah, but
Yeah.
then like Steamboat and Jericho got like a proper like almost like a Royal Rumble match, where they get like
Yeah.
those couple of minutes to just go before anybody else comes in the ring or at the end. And like Steamboat looked great to the point where they had him in he faced Jericho in a
Yeah.
one-on-one at like the next
Yeah.
pay-per-view. I think it was Extreme Rules or something. And
Yeah.
like he got like a solo match or it was on Raw, maybe. I don't remember, but
Man.
he got to wrestle more, which is insane.
Honestly, Steamboat is so good. Like, if he hadn't asked for time off when his kid was born, he would have been like WWE champion. He was so over, and that
Was he
dragon gimmick,
ever
like,
WWE champion?
no. He
That's
was like he was getting over, and he like Vince was booking him and stuff. And then I believe the story is he asked for time off because his
yeah,
son was
that's it.
being born, and Vince was like, okay. And then he like literally made him a dragon. It's when he made him wear like he made him wear just like weird dragon stuff. And I think Steamboat was like, well, this is disrespectful. I'm going to WCW. And then WCW, they were like, you're Asian. What do you want us to do? So,
That's so insane. I
yeah,
cannot believe that
yeah,
Ricky Steamboat. I actually didn't know that part. That's
yeah,
so sad. I always thought my fun fact was like, oh, Jake Roberts never won the WWE Championship. Mr. Perfect never won the WWE Champion. No, now my fun fact is that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat never won the WWE Championship. That is
yeah.
insane.
But also, I don't think he would have. I don't even think if he hadn't asked for time off, Vince would have given him the title. I feel like at
Either
that
way,
time, yeah,
you're
yeah,
talking about a man who is synonymous with WrestleMania because of his match with Macho Man. Like
sure, yeah,
the lore is now that yes, people tuned in for Andre Hogan, but they walked away talking about
yeah,
Steamboat Savage. Like,
yeah.
and that's just one. He's had many WrestleMania
Mhm.
matches, and then even this one where he like shows
This
out
was so
at like
good.
the age of like probably 60 or so, 50 or 60.
Yeah,
Like
he's probably quite old.
th that is insane that he's
Yeah.
easily one of the most identifiable names of the 80s in professional wrestling, right? Like he only gets trumped because the other names are so massive.
Yeah.
Like Macho Man and Hogan and Piper, even probably to a degree, are so massive. Other, if not for that, he would be right there, right? Like, and
Yeah.
because like how talented he is, that's insane.
Yeah, he let me see what titles he won. Because don't I don't think he won anything in WCW either. I
He
mean, and
probably won
everyone was
US, the US championship. He's
yeah,
definitely
because
won the US
everyone
championship.
won the title in WCW.
Yeah. No, he's had to have won. I don't think he's won the world championship. I will say that. I could be wrong, but that's my guess.
The only championship he won in WWE was the IC title.
I mean, at that time though, that makes sense. There weren't like that many.
Yeah, and the IC title was their workhorse title,
Right.
but like he didn't win anything in WCW.
No, but he won a lot
Um,
of NWA championships. That's
yeah, but that was like before WWE.
right. He won the US title, the World Television Championship, and the World Tag Team Championships in WCW.
Oh,
And
okay, I
one
didn't see that.
time, he's only had the IC
Yeah,
title
it's a one-time IC
once.
title.
Bro,
Maybe that maybe that was when he asked for time off.
that's unbelievable. Wow. That is
It
so sad.
it's very very depressing.
Yeah, I would have, for some reason in my head, I was like, oh, he must have held it like two or three times at least. One single time. Wow. Dang.
Yeah, it's
And he's still like, but that speaks to how good he is, that he's still a legend, even without like being
yeah,
given all these accolades, right? Like in comparison to his name, his accolades are pretty small, you know? Like, I mean, like I
yeah,
said, he has a lot of NWA stuff, but like people don't associate NWA
yeah.
like the even like more hardcore wrestling fans, they're not thinking about the NWA when they're thinking about
I
championships
don't
and
think
accolades.
I don't think anyone's thinking about the WA anymore, especially since what's his name bought it.
Right. I'm just saying, like, even like the hardcore fans, like really, really hardcore, will
Mm,
be like, oh, like, well, he was really good in the NWA, you know, but like
yeah,
most wrestling fans, even like people like you and I, this level, we like know a
yeah,
lot of stuff, but we're not thinking about the
yeah.
NWA, right? And so
No,
like when you look at his accolades in comparison to his name status, that's incredible that he's like as
he,
over and like well known.
he's like I'm trying to think of someone else of his level who like Regal's the only other person I can think of who's
Mm,
kind of Steamboat level who never won the and I guess Razor Ramon, Scott
yeah,
Hall never won.
right.
But yeah, and I think Scott Hall's also just a one-time IC champion. I'm not
Mm,
100% sure, but I know he only won the IC championship in WWE. I think he won the US title in WCW.
right.
But yeah, it's just like these are like fantastic wrestlers who just were undervalued at their time because I think in the ni 80s and 90s it was always just like, you know, big dudes slapping meat.
Yeah. 54, by
Because
the way, when he had that match with Jericho.
he was
54.
he is what Jericho thinks Jericho is now. Because
Oh man.
good Lord, Jericho is hit or miss in his
Yeah.
matches currently.
Well, that's all the matches I have. I don't know if you have any more.
Yeah, I had one more, and it
Oh,
was the John Morrison, Snooki, and
uh,
Trish, which, to be honest, now thinking about it, it's actually pretty memorable.
who did they
Um,
face again?
Lay Cool and Dog Ziggler.
Oh, I think we talked about this last time. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Dog
and
Ziggler.
I honestly I love calling him Dog Ziggler because of that
Yeah.
Rusev bit, and it's just
So
so
no, I
good.
knew exactly what you were talking about the second you said it. I was like, oh yeah, I hear it in Russo's accent too. I was just like, oh man, I love it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I was impressed. Snooki did this like I don't think it was a springboard, but she did basically like a Sasuke special inside the ring. I
Yeah, it
was
was a
like, you know what?
handstand.
Yeah, you know what? I'm impressed. She got over with the crowd in the
I
end
guess.
on a horrible card. So yeah,
Yeah. What was that?
it was 27.
27. Oh, geez.
But
Let's each make a prediction of one that will be forgettable.
okay, I
This
am
will be a
just gonna
41
pull up
card.
Wikipedia.
I know.
So as of recording, oh, I can only see. Oh, night to be confirmed. Hmm.
Ooh, I didn't know
I
Jacob Fatu versus LA is confirmed.
Yeah, they
Sick.
they booked that on SmackDown, I think.
Oh, I'm not
That's
gonna
that
forget that.
that's a match I think is going to be pretty good. Tangentially, I think they should bury LA Knight. I think Jacob should like 2 minute squash,
I think so too.
but they won't because LA Knight's very over.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Jacob should just destroy. Ooh. I mean, this is a decent
It's a
card.
good card, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, and simply because the card is so stacked, I think the women's tag title match will be the one that's forgotten. And they don't have an opponent yet. They
Yeah.
treat the women's tag titles even worse than they treat the men's tag titles,
Yeah.
which I don't even think are on the card. I think the Street Profits are on the card. Maybe,
Yeah, like
maybe.
there isn't a confirmation yet of that. I know that who just became the number one contenders.
Motor City Machine Guns.
Right. So I don't know if that match is gonna happen at Mania though.
That's gonna be on WrestleMania SmackDown.
Probably. Oh man. Dude,
Oh,
there's a lot of multi stuff. I mean,
yeah. I think they just want to get everyone on the card.
yeah. Okay, so you're saying whatever the women's tag title match, which is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I Part of me wants to say Gunther and Jay, honestly.
I want to say Gunther and Jay, but I feel like Gunther's gonna like carry Jay to like a 4.5 star match.
That's my thing is like I I don't think it'll be forgettable for one thing or another, right? If Jay
Mm.
wins, then it's I feel like it's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
forgettable. The celebrations there and everything. If Gunther, if they happen to
Yeah,
work magic, there is always a
yeah.
chance. With Gunther, you just never know. Um, there's something in my bones saying everybody is saying the Tiffany Charlotte match is going to be really really good. And I just, maybe it's because I don't rate Charlotte as good as everyone
Hmm.
else does. I'm just like, and then with everything going on with this feud and story, I think it could be a dud.
I don't want this match to be good. I want this match to be a shoot fight.
Fair enough.
I want them to throw haymakers at each other, and then did you have you seen Austin Aries no selling John Morrison and TNA?
I don't think so.
John Morrison wins the TNA World Championship off Austin Aries, and immediately Austin Aries stands up and walks away. He doesn't sell. He just stands up and walks out of the uh
This does,
I I
this
don't
does
even
sound
know.
familiar, actually.
Yeah, I don't even think I can call it a stadium in the very large room TNA were running this show.
Yeah.
And I want Charlotte to do that.
Oh God, that would be awesome.
I want Tiff to hit her moonsault, get the pin, and Charlotte just stands up and walks out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I actually, it's hard to choose. Um, but
I yeah,
go for it. What are you gonna say?
I just think it's a good card.
Yeah.
Like from a wrestling perspective, at the very least.
Yeah. I am gonna say I think Jacob's gonna win, but I think the match itself won't be anything really to like talk about.
Yeah, I think the only way that match can, I think that match might be like the New Day match we spoke about earlier, where something might happen afterwards. I think
Hmm.
Jacob might be up solo,
Yeah.
and I think people will remember that instead of the actual match.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna say that one because I think Naomi Jade should be fun. It should be a fun
Yeah.
match. The feud is there. Chad Gable versus Rey Mysterio. I don't know how you don't make that match good. Like that's
Oh, that's gonna be a banger. Like,
right. So like regardless of the whole gimmick with El Grande Americano,
yeah.
but like it's still Chad Gable wrestling. That's gonna be a fun match. Like the four-way also gonna be super fun. AJ Paul,
Hmm.
I hate to say it, it's probably gonna be really
It,
fun,
it's going to be a very good match.
Yeah.
Logan Paul is going to pull out all of Hangman Page's moves.
The triple threat women's match, how do you screw that up?
Yeah.
The triple threat men's match, how do you screw that up? Cena Cody, like yeah, it's all good
Yeah.
cards. So,
Yeah. Like on paper, very good card. And I don't think they could add any more matches. At the moment, they've got
oh right, because they,
11 matches.
yeah,
According to Wikipedia, they've got 11 matches
I
so
could see
far.
them adding one more,
Yeah.
6 each. Especially because now they have to figure out what to do with Randy.
Oh, yeah. They need to put Randy in a match. I'm surprised Drew doesn't have a
Oh
match.
wait, yeah, Drew and Damian. It's
Yeah, I
not
thought they were
confirmed
meant to have a
yet,
match.
but
Yeah,
it's a
I
Damian called him out to
yeah,
for
they'll do
this
that.
week, so it's
Maybe
gonna
they'll put Randy in that match. Maybe it's like Randy standing around, Drew calls him a name, you know.
maybe. No, I
Well,
don't
I
know,
don't know.
but that's all right. Well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Let us know in the comments down below what you think is gonna be the most forgettable match at WrestleMania 21 41.
yeah, yeah. Um, the next time we will talk might actually be after Mania.
Yeah, we should just talk about Mania.
Yeah, we should probably maybe yeah, see what happens then. But until then,
Mhm.
everybody enjoy Mania. We'll be sharing more thoughts through socials, so follow us
Yeah.
at the Big Pop Podcast Pod on Instagram and TikTok, right?
Yeah, it'll be in the description down below on YouTube.
Yeah. But where can they find you, Sully?
You can find me at Kayfabe Crimes. I talked mostly about New Japan and AEW over there.
Yeah, and you can find me at Navthepoet. Though I'm posting more of my wrestling content on the podcast channels, but still follow me for some wrestling stuff along with plenty other things of media and many other topics. So,
Yeah. So
see
thank
you
you guys
then.
for
See you later.
watching. Bye.